Okay, so what have I done? Well, first of all, the whole point with these doors is that I want to have the hinges sitting on this side, the right hand side, because they will be sitting probably sort of halfway recessed in the concrete wall that we're going to build. They'll be looking really cool, right? And they won't pose any hazard to people, because they will be probably recessed in this wall. It's not sticking out on that side. That's why I wanted to have them here, because if they would have to be on that side where people walk past to go in the shower, there could be a hazard. So I wanted to have the doors in this direction. Now I have reinforced the doors. I have replaced most of the dowels, these bits of wood that keep all the individual parts together. And then I have partially, I would say 90% re-glued the door using Sikaflex caulking. Put everything back in place, clamp it up, and now it's you know, it's a solid door. It feels solid. It's not going to fall apart anymore. But and I have removed some of the hardware that was on it that would really be dangerous. You know, it would catch you, sharp hooks, and so it's a shame, because the hardware makes the whole thing look cool, right? But they had to go. What I have not done, and what I want to do, is change this louvred parts over, swap it around, because at the moment the louvers are set so that water from the shower from this side splashing onto that, then it will drain out on this side, which is sort of the dry side of the bathroom. Now these louvers are set in a very thin, flimsy piece of wood. It has all these slots cut out where the louvers sit in, and I know that frame where the louvers are sitting in would not survive being taken out and being replaced, swapped over to the other side, because I want to invert these louvers, turn them around. So what I've done is I've glued everything sort of in place. I've fixed everything in place, and what I am thinking about doing now is just make a very nice square cut, about a centimeter, 10 millimeter from the edge of where the louvers are sitting. So you're actually cutting into the door frame and swapping the whole thing, not over, no, turning it around. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, it's going to be excited, but the door should be strong enough right now to handle this kind of abuse. Yeah, that's it. So I'm painting the door now with a very thick and sloppy layer of a, it's called a peinture effect cholet, like a lime effect. And then afterwards I will just scratch it up with a paint scraper, make it look all wetted, and then let that dry overnight, and then tomorrow hopefully we can we can varnish it, the door, and by varnishing we're sealing in these layers of paint. Yeah, so I'm going to fixate everything. Fixate, well, I don't know whether that's the correct term. This is not a very good paint as a final coat. So everything needs to be covered in a protective layer really. And apart from that, I want to have this be able to stand up against the humidity of a bathroom. And I also think that the colors will just pop as soon as there's a layer of varnish on it. Just feeling if there's anything sticking out. Again, as I've done many times before, I use EP82 varnish. Why? Because we always use this on boats, and the wood on boats is exposed to all elements and seawater, and this is just a varnish that's sort of very forgiving. You don't have to be a professional to work with this stuff. I'm thinning it basically 50%, so 1 part varnish, 1 part thinner, because I want this layer to really penetrate in the wood, the paint. I don't want to have it laying on top, I want to have this penetrating in. And I'll do at least 2 coats thinned, 50%, maybe later 25%. And then probably a top coat of just unthinned. Oh, I had this long discussion this morning with Nadia. Nadia is a chef on a super yacht, right? And she's cooking breakfast. And she's cooking a traditional English breakfast. And I asked her, are you including black pudding? That's my favorite part of the breakfast. She says, I have boudin noir, which is the same. It's not the same. Yeah, boudin noir is also made with pig's blood, but it's not black pudding. Long discussion. We just pulled up some facts from the internet, and now she knows. Boudin noir is not the same as black pudding. And many countries have their own variety, right? On the, well, the blood sausage, or the sausage that includes blood. In Holland we've got one. In Spain you've got morceau, something like that. Yeah, I prefer the black pudding. Right, so that is my attic. Whew, I've been here before because I reinforced the roof here before we made that big opening for the windows in the wall. And I did an attempt to tidy it up at that time, but yeah, look at the mess. It's just horrible. It's just, where do you start? See, that is that reinforced structure that I've made. That is, well, it was supporting the roof when I made that big opening and made the lintel. But at the moment it should not be doing anything because I have placed additional supports under the rafters. So I am going to look if I can remove all that because it's just an eyesore. Pardon me. Especially when this ceiling is open, it'll become visible. But one part of me is really afraid of removing that. Because you don't know, right? I mean, yeah, in theory, the rafters are all supported with these blocks behind. But it's always a bit scary. Oh, pardon me, it's dusty up here. Yeah, just let's get started. I was thinking, you know, I mean, if I would just knock out all these floor panels, all the dirt and debris would come falling down, and let gravity do part of the thing. But then, you know, I got tools and stuff downstairs here. It's gonna be messy. I better do a knee job and start sweeping and vacuum cleaning before I remove those ceiling panels. Yeah, part of the thing, right? Now, let's get started. When you buy an old house, like we did here in France, you gotta make sure that you know what the condition is of the roof. Because the roof is a real big ticket item. When you buy a house through a broker here, I think it's mandatory that they give you a sort of a small survey. It doesn't mean much. But what happens is that somebody comes to inspect the house for termite damage, I believe, and asbestos, and something else, maybe paint containing lead or so. I'm not really sure what it was, but out of this little survey, I think they call it something as diagnostic or so. Out this little survey came that we did not have termite and the other nasty stuff. But I don't really trust those inspections. You can always wonder how independent an inspector is, right? So what we did was we had someone coming who was an all-round builder, an all-round contractor, and I wanted to employ him. basically to oversee my work and to ask for advice. Because I don't have any, or I did not have any experience with masonry work and breaking open walls, etc., etc. But and then that guy came and he had a few looks at the house real quick, and he did what basically all contractors did who we've consulted, and I was like, nah, cannot, nah, too difficult, nah, build a new house. Yeah, and that for me was the moment to say goodbye, because that kind of mentality is useless for me, right? If you buy an old house and you want to do it up, you gotta have a can-do mentality. Otherwise, don't even think about doing it. You gotta see possibilities and not limitations. Before he left, he had a look at the roof, and he was the only one able to get up here because there was only a very small narrow opening in this floor. I couldn't fit through. He squeezed himself through and he looked at the roof and he says, nah, that's rotten, that needs to be replaced and that's not good. And I remember thinking, how can you say something like that without even having thoroughly checked what you're looking at? You know, that was for me already a reason to say, nah, we're not going to go with this guy. So this is now the first time that I'm here while it's sort of tidy-ish, clean-ish. I don't have to be afraid for too many big spiders. I'm going to clean it up more with the vacuum cleaner, remove all the cobwebs, and then do a little survey myself. And what I'm doing is just with a screwdriver, and it does not have to be a sharp screwdriver. You're just gonna pick at all the wood. Now, this wood here looks really bad, you see, but then when you get in past the outer layer, you'll notice that the wood is hard, and that happens a lot. The exterior of the wood gets eaten by termite and what have you, but the interior is too hard for them to get into. So this is what a surveyor should see, and this is what that contractor should have been looking at. Instead of saying, no, cannot do, and break it all down, and you got to replace your whole roof at, say, 50,000, if not more. You got to look at in depth what is the damage and to which extent, and how can we repair it. Well, I am going to do that, and my thoughts are that this beam is still okay, and if it was not okay, I would just double it up. I would just buy a beam of wood like I have over there and double it up. Why not? Easy enough, really easy enough. So I'm going to go around, I'm going to inspect every timber, I'm going to clean it all with the vacuum cleaner, and then tomorrow I'm going to give it a good blast with air from the compressor to get all of the dirt off, or all of the dust off, and then I'm going to spray it with a pesticide. Just to preserve the wood. Is it necessary? I don't think so, because this has been up without pesticides for I don't know how long. It could be 100 years. But I'm gonna do that anyway. Why? Because it makes me feel good. And I like feeling good. I vacuum cleaned almost the entire roof. I need to scrape a little bit more of the rotten or affected beams. There's yeah, about a layer of about a centimeter of the outer core of some of the beams has been compromised, and the core is hard. I have peeled off some of the compromised wood of the main beam further down that way, but I don't believe that the roof is structurally unsound. I really don't believe so. And if I would think that there's a risk, then I would just double up on beams. I would just install an additional beam, basically just like I did with the roof of the little house. But no, I'm pretty happy with the condition of the roof. What I'm going to do tomorrow is continue vacuum cleaning. I want to have everything dust free, and then I will peel off some more compromised wood and continue with my survey, and then I'm going to spray everything with a pesticide that will protect the wood even more. And then maybe, I don't know, are we going to keep it this color or paint it or varnish it or treat it with an oil? I'm not sure. I need to discuss that with Nadia. People, thank you very much for subscribing, for liking. A big thank you for the people who contributed us by donating us a coffee. It's really helpful. And I'll see you shortly. Bye now.